ones that are feasible to do and that make sense to do, and then the others are going to be planned and discovered and fleshed out a little more. So I suppose a couple of things that have happened recently that you may or may not have noticed. One thing we rolled out a couple of weeks ago is we added some AI moderation for simply just chat room names and G-rated chat room names, because we were getting complaints about offensive names being shown. So we rolled that out a couple of weeks ago. Basically the AI checks the room title for anything really offensive, anything bullying, anything with hate in it, or anything overly sexual. And if somebody tries to open a room with that name that's G-rated or create one, it will simply tell them, change the name, this isn't applicable. So that was rolled out a couple of weeks ago. You'll start to notice the room lists have got far less, let's say, saucy or offensive names. And we kind of have to do that anyway, because the app stores have some rules against, things like profanity and sexuality and stuff like just in the apps in general. So that rolled out. That's kind of behind the scenes. You might not have noticed that. The other thing that's kind of rolled out, it's getting used, but not a huge amount, is the mentions feature. Now, some of you may have noticed this. If you push @ and you can't type in here, unfortunately, but if you tap @ in the text area when you're editing, there'll be a drop down of people that are available to mention in the room. Now, that part of it has been around for quite a while, so that I mentioned Dan, and my text is highlighted to Dan in the text chat, so he can see that I'm directly talking to him. Nothing groundbreaking there. But over the past couple of weeks, month or so, we've rolled out the ability that can send push notifications now to mobile phones, and desktop if you're online. So now if you @ somebody and they're not in the chat room, if their settings allow, and if the settings for the room allow, you can choose it individually. You can go and mute mention notifications from a chat room directly, or you can turn all mention notifications off. They will get a ping saying, Dan mentioned you in the Paltalk Town Hall chat room. And that's to keep the conversation going. Now that we've got chat history, you can actually send such notifications because there's a thread to pick up on when you tap it. Previously, we couldn't do things like mentions and notifications because the text would be gone from the room. So you would mention someone, you consider the logic of it. You would mention somebody, they would tap it, join the room, and there'd be no text to read. So now that chat history's been out for around 8-9 months, that's feasible. So that's out now. You guys can play around with that in your own rooms. You can @ people. They'll get a notification if they choose to in their settings. The other thing that's rolling out, it's not out yet, but all of our apps support it, and we've just got to turn it on, because when you roll stuff out, updates, when you've got a desktop app, an Android app, and an iOS app, if you put a new feature across all of them, you can't really enable a feature until all three, let's say the mass of our community and user base are on versions that support that new feature. So we're getting to that point now with mentions, and so probably early next week we'll enable the next part of it, and it won't require an update. It's just a feature enable that we'll do on the back end, and that'll enable admins to do @ all. So right now you can just mention somebody. Coming soon, and maybe in some versions already, you can @ all, and that will send a notification to everybody who follows the room. Only admins can do that, obviously, and there are limits to how often you can do it. We will be looking at feedback to see what those limits will be so that it's not too spammy. So along with @ all, you can also @ here, and that will mention everybody in the room, and it'll just give a treatment to stand out. And there's also @ admins, so you can just put a little treatment to admins, and it will, if admins use @admin, and this is getting complicated, it will send a notification to admins who are offline. Again, only admins can use these kind of what we're calling group mentions. Everybody can mention a single user or multiple users in a message, but only admins can do the things such as @admins. So that's coming very soon. Another thing that's already out, but we're working on it, is when we had that town hall with our new CEO a couple of months ago, there were quite a few users who were pointing out that, you know, people are bypassing bans and they're using emulators like mobile emulators to do this, and bounces in the harassing room. So won't say exactly what we're doing, but we will be rolling out some fixes for that. It's actually in the works right now to start restricting some of these emulated devices, so that the people that are using, they should have real physical hardware devices. So that's going to happen pretty soon. You probably won't notice that happening, but the people who are using them for nefarious reasons will see a difference. And then so that's all kind of happening near term. Next, I'm going to go on to next now. So next is what is being developed right now. What are our team of developers working on? Now, there's a lot of things they're working on. Many of things you wouldn't be interested in. It's all under the hood, improvement things like speed of login and just better usage of app. I mean, you'll feel it and you'll notice it, but it's not a fun thing to really discuss. But some of the features that we're working on right now are colored fonts. One of the highest, I think it ranks second out of all 1,200 responses to that survey, where you rank features. Colored fonts came second, like if you bring an average out. So that's been worked on. That will be start rolling out in probably, I would say, a couple of weeks. You guys will start seeing that. Now, it's not on for everybody. It's not on by default. If you want colored fonts, you'll go to settings. There'll be an option there saying, you know, show incoming messages with color, and then there'll be another setting where you can define your color as you type. It won't be like really overt and in front of the face. It won't be in the text edit area. You'd have to go into settings to enable it. And that's that kind of middle ground where we understand the community want colored fonts, but also colored fonts, you can see like in this room list, you know, the colors kind of denote your subscription level. And we try to keep the text pretty clean so that people with prime names will stand out. So anywhere there's color, it's generally highlighted because you've sent a gift or for your subscription level. But you will be able to enable it. It will just be you power users like yourselves who want to use it will know how to find it and go and turn it on. We'll announce it, but it'll probably be a bit of word of mouth as well. So colored fonts coming soon. Another smaller thing, a bit of a bugbear of mine, when I join a private room, obviously there's a password, whether it's a public locked room or whether it's a private locked room, you can lock them with a password. And I have to dig out and remember what that password is every time. And if I'm joining multiple of them, that's kind of hard to keep track of. So a small change that we're working on right now, is the option to remember the password for a private room. So you'll have the option to save it as you enter, and then the next time you join that room, it'll be saved and you can just click join. Obviously, if it's incorrect, you'll get prompted to put the correct one in if the password changes after you've saved it, for example. So that's like a nice little improvement. I know it can be a little bit annoying trying to remember what a password is for a room. Another one that's near term going to roll out, again, this is stuff that's being worked on right now. Developers are actually coding it and testing some of this stuff. Is there currently, if you set your status to appear offline, be invisible, in other words, I don't want people who have me added to the power list to see that I'm online. If you set yourself to that, I think it's called different things, and we're gonna make it, you know, ensure that it's consistently named across all the apps. But let's just call it appear offline right now. Right now, if you enable that, you can't join a chat room. We physically stop you. There were reasons for that back in the day. I'm talking around 10 years ago. But after talking to the user base and the community, you guys getting some feedback, there is a need that, you know what, I don't want to appear online on my power list, but I would still like to jump in a few rooms and hang out. So we're going to remove that restriction. that will be near term, couple of weeks for that as well. So you will be able to not show online on your power list, but you'll still be able to hop around rooms as normal, and we'll remove that restriction. That was another highly ranked feature in that survey. So there's two we've kind of knocked off straight away. Some other kind of under the hood stuff. We're improving their login reliability. There's some under the hood stuff that we're fixing to make sure that you don't get frustrated where you get in odd states where you can't log in on your mobile device. That's being worked on right now. And we're also going to, those of you that use the mobile apps, if you're using Paltalk and then you background it, say open your email, then come back to Paltalk, foreground the app, you see this connecting dialogue that's frustrating. Other apps that you used to use in like WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, as soon as you foreground and background the app, it's instant. So we're working, I don't know how far we'll get in this release, but we are working to remove that, or at least make it appear far less often, because I'm an Android user, I have a Google Pixel, and it frustrates me when I'm like reading Paltalk DMs and I go to email, then back, and I see a connecting message for like 3 or 4 seconds. So we're going to try and improve that as best we can. So that's all being worked on now. Coming up, so we're talking a month or so out now, from now, there's a few more items we're working on. For example, the ignore functionality. Dan is in here, admin D. We do see all of your feedback. I do see all of your reviews in the App Store. We sit down and review them as a product and support team, try and identify the biggest issues and address them. And one of them we keep seeing pop up is either ignore doesn't work properly in rooms, it doesn't work in certain versions of our app, and it's just not consistent. So we're going to overhaul the ignore feature coming pretty soon, and it'll make it consistent so that ignore works across all the apps. You won't see the text of the person that you ignore in the room. You won't hear them on the microphone. You'll see that they're on the microphone, but you won't hear them. And yeah, basically, they will not have any indication that you've ignored them. However, it's a way to just quieten down someone that's just disrupting your pleasure in the room. And we're going to make that consistent across all the apps and roll it out. So what else have we got? Oh, another one actually that's highly requested. So admins. In chat rooms, you get the owner, you get super admins, and then you get admins. Super admins and admins have the same icon, but we know there's a hierarchy in the room. You start as an admin, you work your way up to be more trusted to be a super admin, and the room owner can give super admins some extra powers if they like. But they have the same icon. So we got feedback from you guys, the community, that it would be nice if super admins and admins have different icons. So we are going to roll out different icons for super admins and admins and owners. And additionally, the icons will show in a text chat as well. Right now, the admin icons only show in the room member list where the list of members are. But once this rolls out, super admins will have their own icon, and it'll have a splash of color, so will the owner one, but it will appear in a text chat where you're typing as well. So that's something that's coming pretty soon. Another one, now this one wasn't from user feedback, it's just what we see happening in rooms. So like right now in this room, there are 9 people waiting to talk on the microphone. If I was to let go of the mic and call the next person up, and for example, they're away from the keyboard or they lose connection, the admins would generally take them out of the queue or call the next person up, or they might lose connection and they lose their place in the queue altogether. And what generally happens there is that the room admins will just paste in the room. Just remember that Dan is next, he lost his place, and you have to kind of manage that in an ad hoc way. So we're going to introduce the ability for admins to manage the queue. So the waiting list for the room, the queue, or if you're talking old school Paltalk, the hands back in the day. Once we roll this out, admins will be able to right click or tap on someone in the queue, and then have options like move up one, move down one place, send to the back, send to the front. So that in this case, in my scenario where Dan loses his connection, he drops out the queue, but he was actually next. While the person's on the microphone, Dan can join the queue again, and I can right click him and shift him to be next on the microphone. Now, when that happens, when any admin takes an action, it will come in the room in text, and it will say like, James moved Dan to first position. So it'll all be very transparent who's moving who to everybody, and that should help. It should fix the issue where, and also like some people might not be ready, you just want to bump people up and down the queue. There's no reason why admin shouldn't be able to manage it. What else have we got? Another thing further down the line. So again, I'm not talking about right now, I'm talking further down the line. We're going to add a mic timer. You don't have to turn it on, but if the room owner and admins want to enable a mic timer, it will show a countdown in the area at the top of the room. The room owner and admins can set how long that timer is, between 30 seconds up to any interval they want, really 30 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want. And it will count down and it will flash when you get close to like 10 seconds. And then it will remove that person off the microphone. Because we see a lot of rooms, and this is a highly requested feature again from user feedback, a lot of rooms where there's a kind of enforced, 3 minutes maximum, but someone's got to keep track of that. So why not do it programmatically and let room owners and admins choose if they want to limit the time on the mic. 1 second. Actually, I think that's it. Actually, I've gone through. So what I went through there is basically things that are live now, mentions, things that are coming very soon, at all, at here, at admins. This is like the secondary part of mentions, so group mentioning. And then feature-wise, working on right now, colored fonts, remember password for locked rooms, the ability to appear offline to your pals and still join chat rooms, a bunch of connectivity fixes for the mobile apps, and then coming later, a brand new revamped, consistently working ignore functionality, new super admin icons, and actually revamp, all the admin icons are getting revamped, but the new thing will be there will be a super admin icon. And the ability to manage the waiting list and a mic timer. And so that's the kind of, from the product team update, let you guys know what we're working on, let you know that a lot of this comes directly from your feedback, and I see Dan's posted in some links there. We read all of your feedback. It helps us define what we're going to put in the versions and what new features we should be working on, which is why you can see a lot of the things that I've mentioned that are actually being worked on right now or are going to be worked on next reflect the feedback that you guys have been giving. And with that, I'll pop it over to Dan. So Dan, if you want to give a little update about support.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Dan. I've been with Paltalk for a long, long time. Some of you may or may not know me, but been here a long time. And it's a new day at Paltalk. As you may or may not know, yes, we're under new ownership, and that's why we're having these meetings, because we want to keep everybody informed. There's a new sheriff in town, more or less. And what's great for everybody is that the new owners are very focused on user feedback. We want to make sure that everybody that uses Paltalk has the features that they want, the stuff that makes your time on Paltalk most valuable, how we can make things easier for you. And Pete's been going over some of the stuff that we're talking about. Adding some stuff, like he said, is there. Some stuff you'll see in a week or so. Some stuff you might see in a couple months, but it is being worked on. Along with that, we're moving into a new support system on our back end to hopefully streamline things a bit better. And part of that rework is a better way for people that work customer support to escalate issues to the developers. So if there's a bug, a problem, we can get to them quickly so they can be resolved faster in real time online when there's a disruption. Also, as Pete's saying, gathering feedback, taking user suggestions. We're going to be able to streamline that much better. Right now we get a bunch of requests and we have so many people handling tickets, and sometimes things don't get sent to Pete that should get sent to Pete. So we're going to make it way easier, and Pete will be flooded with your requests. That's about it on our end. On support, we're just, like I say, we're trying to make things better. You're going to have a nicer, faster, more searchable, more relevant knowledge base, a little bit more colorful, a little bit more categorized, easier to follow. We might add in some AI, not that it's going to take over for humans, but it will just assist us to, to gather some more relevant information before a human does get to you. Problem is a lot of people send emails or they send tickets, and we don't really get any kind of relevant information, and that results in a lot of email ping pong. And then you've got to wait 2 or 3 days to get an answer, and we don't like that. We want to get you an answer ASAP. So, we're working our way up to, streamlining things much better in that regard. So, better support, better feedback will give you more features coming into the system, and that's what we want. So, like I say, new sheriff in town, things are changing. You guys have a much stronger voice now than probably ever in the life of Paltalk, except way back when we didn't have lots of features. We were furiously adding things, but now we want to get back to the basics. Make sure that you guys are happy, guys and girls. Don't leave anybody out. And that everybody has the stuff that they need to enjoy their happy life on Paltalk. Pete, I guess if you want to take some questions, you can go ahead. Just remember, gang, we don't want to talk about bans. We don't want to talk about complaints, tech problems, things like that. Those things are best handled in the support ticket. The best way to get help is to visit https, secure S, support.paltalk.com. Give us as much detail as you can in the ticket, and then we'll be able to get to your issue right away. Sending blind email is not really helpful. We just have it because everybody has a support address. But if you do send an email to support@paltalk.com, please take the time. Make sure you include usernames, the type of system you're on, a little bit of detail about your complaint, screenshots if you got them, things like that. In other words, help us help you by giving us as much information as possible on first contact. That'll get you fixed and out the door as soon as possible with the least painless experience. Okay, Pete, I'll turn it back to you, and we can take some questions if you like.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And yeah, kind of backing up what Dan says, we'll take a few questions now, probably 2 or 3. We're already over. This was the aim of these kind of town halls with the product team, is just to mainly let you guys know that we're listening and what we're working on, what's coming up, so that you guys understand, in the next few months what sort of features and stuff you'll be seeing. And yeah, we'll be doing more of these, maybe 1 a month. We'll probably hop around times because it's not fair to like this. And thanks to Dan, I appreciate it, because Dan's up at like 6 a.m. for this meeting. I'm in London, so it's midday near enough for me now. It's not so bad, but I wanted to do one more in the European time zones and touch some of Asia as well, early evening there. And then maybe the next one will be in, kind of North American evening, which is kind of too late in Europe, unless you're like a real night owl that hangs out and chats late. So I want to hop them around so that we give everybody a chance and a voice. But I will say the same as Dan as well. Feedback in here is good. We'll take a few questions, but it's far more valuable to do it via the portal and the website, because what happens then is it funnels in. We track it in our discovery phases. Everything gets added in to tickets where feature requests are, and we start building out, data around the requests and what the features are and what you guys want. So it's best to have it in text. So let's take a couple questions and then we'll drop out. Like I said, we're already over. Dan, do you want to unrestrict? Is that Zihara? Go ahead.
Yeah, kia ora from New Zealand. So I like a lot of these ideas. I would have a
no,
pushback
did they
on.
disappear?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you just
Yes,
fine,
no?
Dara.
Oh, cool. So a couple of pushbacks. So the coloured font you're talking about, we need the option to not see it at our end at all, because some people that have issues with eyesight have issues with the light colour blue. Yeah, that's one. So we'd be able to turn that off at our end altogether, I think is important. Or black font only. Can we get black screen as well? Because the white screen burns eyes a lot faster. Dark mode, absolutely. Are you looking at anything to do with the microphones? Because everyone mics are different in volume. Can we get an equalizer put in? So you can, an admin at least, can equalize the mics for them. Some are louder, some are quite lighter. And as for the block feature, when you block somebody, I know you can't see them or hear them, but the ability to stop them from seeing you and hearing you is absolutely important. You're blocking them because you don't want any of their interaction either way, but it's only a one-sided block. I think that block needs to go both ways.
So very good feedback. I'll answer what I can. Let's kind of start in reverse order. Blocking. So I was specifically talking about ignore. In our mind, there's two different things. A block is much more overt and final than an ignore. An ignore is, you know what, Dan's typing too much in here. I'm going to ignore him. I just don't want to see his text. I don't want to hear him on the microphone. Sorry, Dan. And that's it. Dan doesn't know anything's happened. As far as he's concerned, nothing's going on. So that will be addressed. And actually secondary to that will be block. Block will be overhauled as well, which is why I would urge you to send that feedback, fill out that form, say this is how I think block should work. I do tend to agree. Now we'll go through the exercise of exactly what a block does. Again, it's far more final and more overt than an ignore. And I think with a block, I'm not saying I don't want to see your text. It's a bit of both. You know what? I don't want to see your text. I don't want to hear you. And also, I don't want you to know my status, whether I'm online, offline. I don't want you to hear me, and I don't want you to see my text. So we'll do the same thing we're doing with ignore, but with block, where we'll standardize the features and what happens when you block somebody, how people are alerted, what it looks like in the interface, and we'll roll it out consistently across all the apps. So that's one. Colored fonts you mentioned, they will be exactly like this by default. The colors will only change, even if Dan goes and sets his color now. And by the way, there's about 20 colors you can pick from. But if Dan went and changed his font color now, I would still see it as black unless I went into my settings and enabled the setting to see colored fonts. So your concern will be addressed right from the beginning. Colored fonts is only for people who want them. You know, we're not going to force it on people. You'll definitely have a way. I mean, by default, it will not just turn on and all of a sudden there's all colored fonts flying around in these busy chat rooms. So yeah, I think that's fine. There was something else and I can't remember. Oh, dark mode. Yeah, dark mode is in our queue to look at. It's not a simple thing to do. You know, because you look at all of these different colors we have here and you imagine them with a black background, some of these nicknames would disappear more or less. You know, there's a lot to think about. But it is something we're considering and we're looking at in the backlog. But I appreciate the questions, good feedback. Again, I would be interested to see that information on block, everybody in there, like, what do you want to happen when you block somebody? Dan, do you want to unrestrict swim coach? I'm going to take a question.
Hi, have I got your voice, or can you hear me? Okay, so I was wanting to ask if we could put a co-admin in where it is admin and super admins, but then the co-admin is the same as what the owner can do, if you understand what I mean.
Do you mean like two people can own the room?
Yeah, well, basically, when the owner is not there, the co-admin function, where some people can be a co-admin to the rooms.
So would this be, in your mind, is this, so as a use case for this, an admin, the owner's not around, but I need to make changes that only the owner could do, and he or she has denoted somebody who also has those powers, rather than having to share the login?
Yes.
Okay, I've noted that down. That's something to think about. We do know that a lot of rooms, especially the ones that are open 24/7 and have multiple admins, oftentimes the room owner, obviously they can't be there all the time, but I think some people actually make a separate name as a room owner so that it can be managed that way. We will be looking at how these rooms, we can have rooms that are kind of multi-owned, you know, so there's a few people who own them and can manage them.
So I just want to ask you to watch video and then get points as well.
You mean
So
watch
get
ads?
credits.
We did bring that in, that feature where you could watch ads and get points. However, to be totally candid with you guys, it just got abused, and there was no way for us to protect against the abuse. Obviously, these things are done. You do a partnership with an advertising company, and they provide the ads, and they provide the what we call like anti-gamification. But what we found was that there was hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people making hundreds of nicknames to get 5 points, and then sending all that value to one nickname to move themselves up the achievement level. So just gaming it really, because the point of that was like, you know what, if you haven't got a few bucks to spend, well, you can watch a video, we earn a few cents out of that, so let's give you a few cents worth of credits. But it just got abused. That's not to say it won't come back if we can find a way to make it not be gamed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, that would be good if you can make a co-admin, so if the owner's not there, the co-admins could do the same as that the owner is, because apparently, yeah, if you get, I mean, that would be great if you made that function. So if you go into your admin console, you can make co-admins or super or regular admins.
Yep, I've noted that down. What we do with this kind of stuff is we create an idea and then we flesh it out and understand like how much it will be used, what problem it solves. But that's noted. We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Let's go. I want to take another one. Thanks a lot. Let's do one more, Dan. Let's do Elijah Dane. Hello.
Oh, hello. What I would like to know is, and from just going back on the ignore function, I think that mainly not works from what I've heard on mobile, and block doesn't always work on mobile. But what I want to know is, can you make the block list longer? Because I have people on block for a reason, and I don't like having to go through my block list to unblock people to be able to block other people. Like they're there for a reason. And seeing as that's the first thing that if I said, oh, this person is harassing me, you would say block them. And if my block list is already full, I can't. I have to go through and unblock somebody.
That, believe it or not, I was discussing that with the team middle of last week. We have an item where we're fleshing out, because we're looking at the feasibility of if the block lists were 10 times bigger and the ban and bounce lists in rooms, how would that impact the service? Because You have to manage these things to a certain size. There shouldn't be a reason as to why they're limited. I don't want to limit them. But I can't guarantee you, but I can give you like a 90% assurance that pretty soon, at least the block list will be lifted, at least doubled, if not made more or less infinite to an extent. There'll be some number that you'll hit, but you should never get to that point. We don't know if that's changes in the app code and in the back-end code and all over the place, or we don't know if it's just something we can change on the back end, so we've got to investigate it. But it's definitely something, both, like I said, both the room bounces and ban lists and your personal ignore and ban lists or block lists should be bigger.
And
So,
if I could just, sorry, Pete, if I could just jump in, just want to kind of explain, like, the bigger the list that you have, say like a room has a ban list of 500 people, that means that every time somebody wants to join the room, and that even, that includes just, hopping out to go change a mic setting and coming back in, the server then has to go through that entire list and say, okay, are you allowed in or not? Same thing with messaging. When somebody gets blocked, they try to message you, we've got to check that whole block list every time somebody wants to message you. So bigger lists can introduce longer delays. So there's always a trade-off in this stuff, and that's why we kind of, take our time and think about things before we add it, because little things, sounds little, but it can actually cause big problems on the service unintended. So just be patient. Well, I'm sure we'll come up with some good number that's not unlimited, but workable for everybody.
yep, everything has a cost, and I don't mean like a monetary cost. Every one of those people in any list has to be bounced and checked against, and it's cost of the app running. And if these lists get really long, it puts a lot of strain on stuff. But it's all about how you do it, which is why we investigate it first. How can we optimize it? How can we make the list 10 times as long, but without creating any sort of impact on the user experience, any sort of lag or slowing down of anything? So we'll keep an eye on that. Thanks for the question. Let's take one more, and I've really got to drop out. Now, how would you say this name? 20 something 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 30. Go ahead.
السلام عليكم. طبعا أتكلم بالعربية، ولكن لابد من وجود شخص يتكلم العربية حتى تصل جميع الملاحظات. ما هي وش الهدف وما هي الأهداف من التواجد هنا؟ تواجد أصحاب الغرف لابد يكون في أهداف. أي شخص يوصل كلامي الآن يسمعني وعنده استطاعة إنه يوصل الكلام، الأكو أدمن يا ليت في ملاحظات لابد الكلام فيها، في أشياء كثيرة لابد نحن نتكلم فيها، بس لابد من وجود متحدث باللغة العربية. شكرا.
Okay, if I could jump in, we do have several Arabic-speaking admins and support people. It may be hard to find them live, real time on the system, but if you use the ticketing system at support.paltalk.com and submit your text and ask for Arabic help, we can get that forward over to the admins that can understand it, diagnose it, and be able to hop in. If it's a room complaint, for example, they speak Arabic, they could jump in. So we are working on that kind of stuff. We do have limited staff, of course, but we do have several Arabic-speaking people. We have people that speak Dutch and French, German, Spanish, New Zealander, all that good stuff. We do have things pretty well covered. We're not perfect, but we do try. So yeah, we do have some Arabic folks around if you can get some tickets in.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I think we're at time now, guys. Unfortunately, I see there's another few hands up, but we'll be doing more of these. Again, Dan, if you can post those links in again, please. I really, really encourage you guys to send feedback, especially things that we've discussed. We're releasing these features, but it doesn't mean they're staying exactly how they are. you know, what we tend to do is release, get feedback, make changes if they're needed, improve where needed, and then see how we go. We don't we can never think of every single part of a new feature that the users would want or how it will work best, and you don't know until you release it. We can, you know, develop this stuff for months on end. Really, you don't know how it's going to work until you put it out there to try it and get feedback. So as you can see from what we've discussed today, that feedback form is basically really helping shape what we deliver to you guys to improve the experience in the community. So definitely keep sending that feedback, and we will catch up again soon. I don't know what time, I don't know when, I don't know where, but we'll see you again. It will always be in this room, so if you follow this room, you'll get a notification when it opens. And the next one will probably be early next month, and I would guess more American time, but so maybe about 10 o'clock in London GMT time. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yep, take care. Thank you very much. And oh yeah, also part of our new support system, we're going to have specific forms for suggest a new feature, feedback, and complaints. So besides filing a support ticket, you'll be able to do much better tailor-made requests to us, and that'll help us automatically filter things and get them to the right people without delay. So we're trying to speed things up on the back end so our developers know faster what you guys want. Okay, gang, thank you very much. Sorry we didn't get to everybody. Well, like I say, we're going to try to do this lots. So follow the room, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
I think we'll leave the room open for a few minutes just so you guys can open the browser and find another place to go rather than rudely throw you out the door. Have a great day. Happy Paltalking.